And welcome to Houston Newsmakers Extra. I'm delighted to have with me State Senator John Whitmire from the 15th District. I get confused because there's 30 years in the 15th District. Don't want to short you any years. And Paul Bettencourt, who's a rookie, so to speak, but not so to speak. 10 years as a Harris County tax assessor collector.
Just view this as 2 for 1 here today.
I know,
okay?
this is the big deal.
You get a great buy.
I know. Let's talk about you talk about one of the most important things with the budget. You know, Sylvia Garcia, I think, was the lone vote against that budget. Everybody else voted for it from that Senate.
Sure.
That is.
Sure.
What was it about the budget that you'd like to say, well, we passed the budget, but I really want to do more in certain areas?
Or do less. The $800 million that we're spending on the border for border security, I think, in my judgment, people I represent, is a tremendous waste. The border is so secure that it's literally fewer arrests at the border than there are probably in the city of Houston in a 24-hour period. You don't need hundreds of DPS officers a mile apart securing the border. $800 million, in my judgment, is a political statement, partisan politics. I would take some of that money and use it, if you really want to apply it to public safety, in our inner cities or on our highways.
Paul?
Well, the budget, first off, is a good one. It's only up by 0.2% year to year, which means it's flat. And there's a reason for it. It's because look at all the energy layoffs we have down here. The economy has slowed. So we're doing the conservative thing. We're doing the realistic thing. And you can either be conservative or liberal, but you can only spend so much money. Now, what we're doing from there is that we did look at health and human expenses. We raised substantially the amount of funds that went to child protective services. Both Senator Whitmire and I roasted bureaucrats when they came to the Senate Finance Committee because they couldn't tell us where these kids were, what they were going to do about it, and how they were going to fix the problem. Now, so we do have a lot of bipartisan agreement on these issues. Now, on the border, we have an $800 million expenditure, but what will happen is if the federal government will finally stay true to their word and start spending money on the border like they're supposed to, we'll be able to knock that down for next session.
You know, I keep hearing that, but I keep seeing that they spent more money in increment years than they ever spent before. I mean, from different administrations, they've spent more and more and more and more. And is that not
well, the
true?
question is where and what, and how does it do it?
But in politics, you play with it. You know, everybody comes down and it gets played around and bounced around.
Last month, our DPS apprehended 40 people attempting to cross the border. 40 individuals. You would apprehend that many in the city of Houston in a 24-hour period. We don't need that kind of mass expenditure on the border. And let me tell you why. You're not applying it to public education. Another disappointing aspect of the budget and the state finances, we left $11 billion still in the rainy day fund. School property taxes are killing our homeowners and our businesses. And when I went to the legislature in '73, the state furnished 60% of the school district's budget. We're down to 36%. So I would take the money that we haven't spent, our $11 billion savings, and apply it to school finance.
Do you disagree with that? Or is there
at least a part of it?
Yeah, well, first off, let me get the real numbers. Over the last 10 years, from 2005 to 2015, local property tax revenues for schools has only grown 39%, but they've grown 92% for special districts, 82% for counties, 71% for cities. So the counties and schools are growing at different rates. Basically, what's happening is your cities, your counties, and your special districts are growing twice as fast as your school taxes. That's the real numbers. So that's why I proposed Senate Bill 2, so that we would lower that rollback, get that rate, those rate decreases going as values go up. Here's our real problem. John, hold on. Here's our real problem.
I just want everybody to know I voted against Senate Bill 2.
Yes, but you did vote for pension bond votes, which we'll get to in a little bit. Okay, so that was another Bettencourt idea. As values go up like rocket ships, what has to happen is tax rates need to come down. And guess what major urban area has cut their tax rates the most out of the big five in the state of Texas, between Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, San Antonio, and Houston? Travis County. They have cut their tax rates by 25% in the last 3 years. Even the city of Austin has cut it by 6 pennies. So what you have is Harris County never cutting a tax rate, taking 36% more revenue in, and places like, of all places, the People's Republic of Travis County cutting their tax rates by 25%.
Did they change their name?
Well, I think they may be the Republic now. We all won.
I got to move on. I got to move on. Let's talk about the pension plan. The city of Houston, actually, that was something that they really need needed, and it passed the muster of everybody. You both happy with what you ended up voting?
Yes, it's a very complex issue that was years in the making through the leadership of Mayor Turner. Council sent us a plan. We worked it. Joan Huffman spent long hours on it, and as a delegation we came behind. It is not perfect, but it certainly makes the funds viable, and the city's finances will be tremendously improved.
I fought for two things with it. One was to have a public vote so that pension bonds could be voted on by the public. Senator Whitmire actually voted for that bill along with 20 others. We got that bill out, and Senator Huffman put it in the Houston pension plan. So the citizens will have a vote on pension plans. The second thing that I fought for was to have a trigger that said if the plans are failing, you have to go to a new plan. And those are in there as well. But the key thing is we also have a suit that just got filed by the firefighters,
but the pension,
which could stop
the pension revenue bonds we need to emphasize is for existing debt that the city owes the police union and pension plan. So it's not new debt, but that was part of the compromise of the overall proposal.
But it's like a second mortgage. The folks should have the right to vote on their own money.
All right, one more thing here before we go. You were going to rain on the parade of that Astrodome. What is wrong with you? What is your problem?
This is a very serious matter.
There's nothing wrong with him. He's right on this issue.
3 years ago, the county residents voted against spending $270 million on bonds to refurbish the dome. That election should be respected. The county, largely directed by the county judge and special interest, came back and said, well, we'll do it a different way. We won't use bonds, we'll just use a combination of parking fees, property taxes, I want to emphasize, and what it would cost to tear it down. First of all, it wouldn't cost anything to tear it down. You could get the rodeo and the Texans to do that. We made a commitment when we built our sports facilities in '98, we wouldn't ever use property taxes, and the parking fees downtown will only rise to pay for this. And it won't be $100 million, it'll be $200 or $300 million. I think we ought to have a healthy debate about the future of the dome, but it ought to be with the voters' approval. Elections matter. We had one, and the county's ignoring it. I passed it in the Senate unanimously. The county judge and special interests killed it in the House. You know, if you're taking $100 or $200 million away from the engineers, the contractors, and architects, they will have some weight.
Let him talk. He wants to support you.
Yeah, right. I was his first co-author on the bill because he's right. The dean's right on this. We should let the public vote. We're using property tax monies. We promised that the citizens, we never use property tax monies for sports venues. We're doing it by pulling out money out of the general fund, and more importantly, we're not doing a tax cut. See, it's one thing to say I'm doing a tax cut. I'm really keeping the citizens, bottom line in my heart and my mind. But we've raised taxes on the home here 36% in 3 years.
But more equally important, we don't have flood control in this county. We don't have public safety that we need. We don't have a mental health system that we need. The homeless situation is out of control. We need to apply the money and have our priorities on people programs instead of a monument to the county judge.
Let the people vote on the dome. Dean's right.
All right. I'm feeling like several verses of Kumbaya. Congressman Green didn't want to go there, but maybe you guys, that'll be on the Newsmakers Extra. Anyway, we're going to have some response to this certainly online as well. Thank you for joining me. Houston Newsmakers Extra. Thanks, guys. Thank you.